So as you can see, this is what we're trying to fill in. See that gap all the way coming along. It's gonna come all the way back to here, and then that starts the stairs up, 2 stairs. So all of this, all the way to those markers, is going to be level and concrete and a patio. So as you can tell, I'm just getting close. See, here's the problem. I'm filling this in, but see that? That's the seawater coming underneath the seawall, and that's what you step into or fall into when you get off the boat. So not cool. That's why this is all getting leveled all the way back to that coast.
Sorry ass DJ.
Alright, so Jen and I have talked, and this is pretty much the game plan. Obviously that's going to be the stairs, so this is all getting cut out, and it's accounting for the retaining wall that has to follow everything all the way down. So this is pretty much the remaining amount of soil that I have to take out. And then build the retaining wall, and then all concrete next to the, and then all this soil that's coming out of here is gonna go there to fill in this nightmare, which is what my seawall's been doing. This is so soft, you can just wipe right out if you come close to it, and you can see that is bad. So this all has to be backfilled in. And that water is the reason why I'm doing it. This is gonna look good when I'm done. So doing the whole concrete base, and I'm building it. You know what? I knew what he was gonna do, and he was gonna fill with just gravel down in between the seawall and the thing. I put 50-pound cement bags there because what's happening is the water is eroding. The waves come in from the boats going by at full speed, and it pulls the gravel out from the seawall. So I've got this space, you guys will see, in between the seawall and my actual lawn. We're looking pretty good for the footing, right where that. And instead of filling that with gravel or sand or whatever, what I did was I put bags of mulch still in the bag all the way along the 55 feet. All right, so step 1 is just dumping full bags of cement, 50-pound bags, and I don't even need to open the bags because they're really meant to stop the soil from being washed out from underneath the seawall. And then on top of that goes rocks, gravel. Then I put 55-pound bags of cement with rebar sticking out of them. And I didn't open those cement bags either. So once submerged, they became rock solid because concrete is just a reaction of water and the concrete, you know. So over the last couple of days, they've become rocks. So now all that under will not pull any of the soil that I put in there. So now it's a layer of soil, and then I'm going to be pouring my concrete, and I've got to build a slab that's about 4 feet wide, 4 feet high, and then I'm going to be anchoring it back to hold the whole seawall, because it's a seawall, the wall that I'm building, the mass of cement, what do we want to call it, a stand or whatever it is, and then that's tied back another 20 feet to the rest of my lawn. So the whole thing is going to be tied together because, again, you know, you're looking at erosion over time and stuff like that. So all right, so we're looking pretty good for the footing right where that is. So it's going to be like an L, and then it's going to be anchored back also. This should be 400 to 500 pounds of concrete in here because it's coming up 6 inches above the seawall. So that should be enough for the davit to go right there. Oh, I don't know, we'll see. Alright, so I'm hitting solid ground just below the seawall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build old school like they do when they're building on marshland and everything else. I'm going to hammer down poles all the way down my seawall. And I'm even going to get thicker PVC. And I'm going to go all the way down this seawall with these poles. Fill them with cement. And cut them off right about here. Then I'm going to put rebar through them and fill it with soil to here, and then pour my wall up to about here. So with about 20 of these running all the way down, all hitting firm ground, all with rebar shooting out, soil, and then pour the concrete wall. So it's just my way of additionally supporting it so the whole thing doesn't sag or put too much weight on the existing seawall, which is definitely suspect. But this is a good sign. I thought this was going to go out of sight all the way down. So I'm going to keep doing this test and put it in a couple of more holes and see if in fact it is all solid ground 2 feet down. That's a good sign. But again, we're going old school on this building. I'm not going to just fill this soil in and pretend this water is in here and hope that the whole thing holds and doesn't sag or, God forbid, collapse. So I got to build it right. So that's what I'm doing. 2 feet. All right, so 25 of these all the way down, and I'll be able to sleep at night with this. Let me do one more. Same thing. Better than I thought. Here we go. This is what you have to do. We're gonna fill every one of these with concrete, and I'm gonna run them right on down, all the way down to there, and then where that's supported, push all this stuff back, and then build the stairs. But this whole thing is going this week. The rest of the poles are going in tomorrow, then they all get filled with concrete tomorrow afternoon. And then I'll start backfilling a little bit and then build the molds. Jen and I together moved over 3,000 pounds of concrete. Hey, hon, show them what we're hiding. All right, cover that back up again. So Jen and I alone moved 3,000 pounds of concrete. That's all getting poured tomorrow. That's in addition to another 30 cinder blocks that we moved into the backyard, and the forms that are still in the back of my car, which we're building today. So all the forms are here, plus what is already back there. So How do you feel, honey, after moving 3,000 pounds of concrete? Oh, she did fall. She fell once, but still got up like a trooper. It took 2 cars to move all the concrete, because the limit we would put in at any given time was 10 to 15 bags, just because of the sheer weight of it all. Honey, it's supposed to be work. This is before any of the pylons are put in back here. In a couple of seconds, you guys are going to see all the pylons put in, filled with concrete. So we're moving along. So I'm cutting pipe. As you can see, I'm burying all this pipe, and it goes all the way down. And Jen is pouring concrete in every one of the tubes, and then rebar goes through them all, and then we build the form. All right, so you can see the rebar goes right through the concrete blocks, and there's going to be concrete blocks and rebar through every one of these, and cement filled, and every one of these hits on cement 2.5 feet down. So talk about building like a brick shithouse.
Yep.
This is just ridiculous.
Hi, honey, what are you up to? Are you trying to get your coffee, or are you trying to get your wood?
My food. Yeah. We're not even.
What is that cable for?
All the other cables, it goes back 30 feet from the wall. This is all buried in concrete. This gets all dug in and buried to an anchor back in the yard from falling over. So after all that, 4,500 pounds of concrete poured, as well as that includes the jet ski davit also, and it is done. So the way this crane works is the cradle is going to have to be here all the way to here. This is 10 feet, and it has to be down, so all of this soil has to go, which is fine because it'll fill in along the seawall, so not a big deal. But all the soil has to come out, and then I need to put in the 4x4 structure for the cradle for the wave runner. So all this goes, and then all the plastic tubes have to come in, be put in, because the wave runner is going to be here in a matter of days. So it's kind of crunch time right now, so I just have to work tomorrow and just get the rest of this just moved to right there, and build my 4x4s, which is actually the easiest part. You know, it's just a fence post hole, throw some cement in, and it'll have a nice cradle to sit here on shore. But this all has to be level. All the grass is removed from the top. I just threw a tarp down because if it rains tonight, I don't want to be shoveling too wet a sand. But that's the basic footprint for the jet ski. Basically just moving all of that topsoil over to the rest of the wall, just filling in the gap, and then this all has to come up like 4 inches over there, and then the paver stones go down, the stairs go in. But for now, at least all the top stuff is off, and it's just a matter of leveling out all this dirt and then putting in the wrap for the wave runner. All right, so here's the crane. That's about where the wave runner is going to come ashore, and this is what I've dug out. Now, what has to happen is all of this has to go to stay level with this seawall. Because as you can see, I don't have a lot of play here for height on the wave runner. So it has to come in, clear the seawall, and then all this soil has to go out. I have rollers and like casters for the wave runner, and it's actually going to be another winch in the back that I'm going to hook onto the back of the wave runner as extra to pull it up the cradle. That might be overkill, but it might not be. The rollers should be pretty good, but all the soil has to go. It doesn't look like much, but it has to come down at least a foot all the way. All right, so there you have it. That is the jet ski supports, 20 inches wide, actually 18. The fence posts will be and they're gonna sit, so it'll sit a little bit higher than that. And Jen moved all this dirt all the way down the seawall to fill it all in nice. So she did a good job today. We still have a ton of dirt to get out of here, but that's about it. That's how it looks. Clear the seawall, and then all this soil has to go out. I have rollers and like casters. All right, so there you have it. That is the jet ski proof of concept. It's not, the wheels aren't attached. Nothing's down, it's just all dry fit, but essentially that's your track for the wave runner to sit on. So it's lowered down by the crane and comes rolling right on down. I think those front wheels are a bit much. I think I might move the whole thing back a bit. All right, so that's basically how it's going to be in the height. Each one of the wheels is going to have its own block. I just wanted to see what the height was going to be. So about 6 inches per block for the wheels, all the way down. So a total of 8 wheels. But that's a good height. That's right even with the seawall. So when that wave runner comes over the rail, there you go. It'll mount right onto the wheels and shoot right on down its track. In theory. Huh?
Hi.
What you doing?
What you do? I'm filming you.
I am.
I'm watching the sunset.
So that's what we're looking at for the wheels. To grab the hull.
Blooper.
All right, so the way I achieve the 25-degree angle is what I did was I screwed down some bolts here, and I'm affecting the way it screws down so it gives me an edge. So the wave runner is actually riding on more of the wheel, versus if I put them down straight, it's riding right on the edge. Maybe not a problem for the first 6 months, but over time it's going to wear on the wheels, and that's not the way they're really made to get full force on the whole surface of the wheel. So by slanting them, all the research I've done is every wave runner trailer has a slight angle to the wheels. So that's what I'm looking to accomplish with my wheels, the way I'm doing it here. And hopefully they're hitting the hull the way they're supposed to. Again, you know, I'm not a wave runner guy by trade, so this is all best guess. We'll see how it turns out. The angle. See the two. That's the angle they're going to be at. And those are bolted down with 6-inch legs. So that's going down. But we'll let all this cement dry. Alright, so as you can see, there's the start of the retaining wall. All this soil is coming out, so it's going to be the same kind of wall. There's that coming up, but that's how it's going to look. Scared the hell out of me. I didn't know you were there. What are you doing there, baby? Trying to not kill the grass. I know what you mean.
With a sharp shovel.
In the next video, I will show you guys how to safely hook up all the electronics for the batteries. We're going to put the batteries in parallel because we want to keep it at 12 volts, but we want to have maximum pulling power and thrust on these winches, and we're tying 2 winches together and the remote controls. So I'll show you how to put those in parallel and get those safe and secure in the battery box and wired in with a trickle charger. I was going to do solar, but solar is kind of hokey. I'd rather just bury the power down to the boat and put in a trickle charger. You can't even see the Wave Runner haddock, which is exactly what I want. See that? Can't even see it. Maybe you can see the top of a couple of wheels, like right there, but that's it. All right, so I snapped. I think these are too close together. After I put the angle on those, I'm thinking it's too narrow. So I just sunk in and cemented down 4 more posts. And I'm gonna move the rail 4 inches to the right, thus giving me 10 inches of span and 8 inches of actual bow wheel contact. I don't know, but I think that's just too narrow for support. So now is the time to do it. If you have second thoughts, now is the time to change it before this all gets cemented in, which I started pouring the cement. You can't tell because it's the rough, shitty cement with rocks in it, but that's all cement. It's hardening over there. Eventually this whole thing will be cemented in. And I still don't know if I'm gonna cover everything over and plant grass and just have the tracks just coming up through the grass. I really don't know what the final product is gonna look like. Or I could cement the whole bottom and do a retaining wall all the way around, make it look pretty. I don't know. We will see. That's it. Moved. Now it's 12 inches between the wheels. All the way down. So that makes me happier. That'll fit any hole of any Wave Runner. So there you go. And we got all that dirt all flattened out, so that looks good. It's not done yet. I started putting the concrete down in here. So that's looking good. Seawall completely done. This just has to be leveled out, the stairs built in, easy peasy part of this. And then Wave Runner cradle finished, cemented in, good to go. That'll fit any Wave Runner. Now it's just a matter of making it look pretty. But that Wave Runner is going to sit a little bit below the grass, so it's going to be hard to even see. Beautiful. Perfect. There we go. Again, this is still not finished, but starting to even it out, flatten it out, and then the stairs go in. 12-foot stairs, they're gonna look nice. 3 foot down. And then all of this is patio block. But the thing that I just finished is the Wave Runner crypt, paddock, cradle, however you want to call it. That's it. And the center is going to have 2 drains in it, because this is all going to be cement and that's all going to be cement. So the center I'm going to leave just dirt. So if it does fill up, of course, now I'm going to do all the wiring for the cool lights, and I'm going to show you guys how to wire up the winches so that both of them work together, because one of the winches is going right here. This is the one to pull it back if needed. It's one of those literally if needed, but better to have it and not need it. So that's it so far. It's definitely coming along. If you guys can really see, this is rebar. This is a hole. You can see the wire attached to the hole, and this wire runs underground to that retaining wall to hold the wall this way. There's another one on the other side holding the wall that way. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8, I can't remember, retaining wall wires that run back from the seawall that I built. Also all buried in cement, all underneath all this stuff. This is just another part, because when I build, there's code, and then there's just a little bit above what I do, just to be on the safe side. Alright, so here's the problem. Wave Runner is 44 inches across, so middle is here. Long story short, I built this wall too close. I didn't build it closer, that's why I decided to drop it in. So I need to cut back this. At least I'll come to here and start the wall on the outside, the retaining wall on the outside of that. So I'll pick up another, say, 4 inches, 5 inches on this side. The Wave Runner will fit, but it'll be close, and it actually will be on the top of this, but I'd rather build this wall up a little bit so the Wave Runner is actually on the inside of it, not on top of it. It's really a preference thing, because when the Wave Runner sits on these, the actual edge of the Wave Runner is actually this high above it, but I'd rather it just be completely covered, so I have to push in out this wall. Pretty much I built that correctly, and it happened because I had to move the tracks. Remember, the tracks were originally here, and then I decided that was too narrow, so when I pushed this out, I really didn't compensate and dig this wall out the way I should have, and now it's biting me in the ass, but no big deal. Again, this shit is better to notice before you start concreting and stuff like that. So there you go, another problem. Alright, so problem solved. Wall moved. It didn't seem big, but it was to me. So now, if you figure dead center of Wave Runner is 22, the Wave Runner is 44 inches wide. So that gives me just an extra 4 or 5 inches of just room there. I mean, there's plenty of room over here, but that way I can build this wall a little bit higher, and the wave runner truly fits in its own cradle. I mean, at first the thought was these would be kind of buried and the wave runner would just like sit on top, boop. But now, having built this whole thing, I say, you know, if a hurricane or a really bad storm hits, why not completely protect the wave runner in its own bunker? I mean, with one of these Category 5s, Jen and I may end up hiding in this bunker much on its way to being done. Just needs all the fancy lights that I'm going to start working on to light up the whole thing, and then pour the concrete floor, which is easy. Oh, there it is. What I like most about it is you can't really see it. See that? If you're looking, you can't even tell the wave runner is going to be in there, and that's my whole effect I was going for. It's going to be up a little bit higher, one more 4x4, and then the whole thing is going to have a tarp that is the color of the grass. And yeah, they'll have some brown spots on it too, but total camouflage. It'll look like a lump in the lawn. That's all it will look like. You won't even be able to tell. So people are going to be driving by, cruising by, but if you're out and about, you are never going to notice this coolest ever jet ski paddock. I said jet ski haddock before. Yeah, jet ski fish. No.